We were looking for a way to differentiate ourselves. We had looked at some technology solutions, but they were technology solutions that merely mimicked paper. Amplifire takes technology to a different level. It takes testing to a different level, and it gives our students a real edge on what is truly a life or death, at least from a career perspective, examination. Our competitors have no answer.
Amplifire is the only online learning engine that combines Nobel Prize-winning breakthroughs in neurobiology and cognitive science with big data analytics to create a powerful and personally adaptive learning experience that results in a 50 to 75% reduction in study time and a 47% increase in pass rates. So, how does it work? Knowledge Factor has identified 25 triggers based on Nobel Prize-winning brain research that activate the brain in a way that causes rapid learning with a very strong memory retrieval signal. Engineering those triggers into Amplifier results in a dynamic and adaptive, algorithmically driven learning process.
Technology has been integrated into what used to be purely lab, pencil, and paper-based studying of human learning. And the acceleration of what we've come to understand about human learning is mind-boggling.
Here's a look at 5 triggers in action. Neuroscience has shown that presenting information adaptively in specific ways activates naturally occurring dopamine in the brain and facilitates learning and memory.
The software watches the way every question is answered for each individual, and then it adapts. If we manage that degree of difficulty and dynamic improvement right, it activates the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus in a dynamic way that elevates dopamine levels and makes learning incredibly easy.
This is what Amplifier does. Gets you drawn in, keeps you going one little step at a time, and this feedback comes in. You start to feel good about it, you start to like it, you start to look forward to the next chance to do well.
Another trigger, priming, is counterintuitive to the way we've traditionally thought about learning. It turns out that by asking the question first, rather than just being presented with information, we can actually prime the brain to acquire and retain new information more efficiently. That's why Amplifier uses a dynamic and adaptive formative assessment and learning format to deliver learning content. Within each question, Amplifier's unique answer format asks learners to self-assess their confidence in their answer. This trigger identifies areas of confidently held misinformation and activates multiple centers of the brain responsible for the creation of new memory and learning.
The beauty of the confidence measure in Amplifier is that it really is activating 2 parts of the brain. One part of the brain is thinking about your certainty about the information. The other part of the brain holds the information. And that essentially kind of creates an emotional feeling about the information. And where there's emotion, you'll find learning.
Because science demonstrates that presenting new learning at timed intervals helps the brain process and store the information more effectively, Amplifier shows learners high-level feedback immediately, but further explanation of the content is presented later in the session. This engineered spacing gives the brain's working memory time to encode, associate, forget, relearn, and store the information in long-term memory. Finally, research shows that visual cues are an incredibly powerful tool for helping learners remember new information. But these visual cues can become a crutch when it comes to long-term recall. The Amplifier software unbundles the associated cues to break the brain's prediction pattern and reinforce mastery.
Knowledge Factor is more committed to drawing on research, making the changes that need to be made than another training program I know of.
And the results are dramatic. 95% mastery of information in any subject, a leap in knowledge retention from a typical return of 5% to 79% retention after 12 months, and achieving these results in a significantly shorter time frame.
If you could see their faces, if you could see the nodding heads as they realize this really is game-changing technology. This is something that's going to make studying for the bar not only bearable, but remarkably enough, many of them believe it's going to make studying for the bar fun. And if we can do that, then we really have changed legal education.